the biggest obstacle I have overcame is that I'm actually missing a part of my brain. The piece of the brain that I was born without is the Corpus Callosum. This piece connects both the left and right hemisphere of the brain, and without it, it's like a traffic jam of information. Basically, my mind, I would say, would work like a void cube. I don't have a core or like a centerpiece, so how a void cube would work would be like you'd have to find different routes to find what face is what. And your brain is like a normal cube. And with it, I have a lot of, I'm much slower. I average 32 seconds now as of today, with a new personal best at 27 seconds in competition. Yeah. To many people, my disorder seems like autism, and when I was born, for the diagnosis, it was 1 in 25,000 births. Today, because of technology and the comparison with autism, it is 1 in 4,000. And my disorder very well seems very parallel with autism. It is not even on the spectrum, but yeah, parallel. And what's difficult for me is, like, when I was growing up, I swam at a later age, I rode a bike, and all those developmental things, sitting up. And I have a really cool thing to show you with my hands. So what you'll see is that I'll be controlling one hand, and I'll be controlling my right hand. Watch my left hand. And as I do this with your right hand, and you'll see a big difference with your left hand. I am not at all controlling my left hand. It's because of the brain connection. No matter what I do, it'll always mimic. So therefore, like when I solve a cube, what's good with like overcoming obstacles is that my brain is working hard to help. And as I always would do this with solving a cube, it strengthens my brain. The movie Rain Man is just like my disorder, and the movie portrays autism because of the lack of knowledge back when they filmed it. And here you see me with Kim Peek, who is the inspiration to the movie. The movie is pretty much based off his life, and the movie does Hollywood in it, like the Rain Man can peek. He cannot do any math, but he's brilliant and he's a savant. With his left eye, he can read the left page of a book at the same time with his right eye to the right page, just like, it's astonishing. He reads like half the time or even faster than a normal person would. I don't like to read, but I like to write. And here, with the Oscar that I'm holding, the movie won 5 Oscars, and I got to hold it as the writer of the movie gave it to Kim Peek in honor and a thank you. And according to Kim Peek's dad, it is probably the most touched Oscar in history. Roughly, possibly about 100,000 people have held this Oscar. And for more information on my disorder, just go to nodcc.org. Growing up, in the beginning, I was in general education classes, and life just was very difficult in school. And even though I may not have been strong in PE, I was the best in class in bowling. And I've done many things with my peers, and I've just felt a little back behind them. When I was really young, and still today, to some extent now, I was shy amongst my peers, but a chatterbox with adults. I'm so thankful for my parents, my dad right here helping me out, for giving me all my toys that I had growing up were therapeutic and just helped me grow up. And then I just found the cube, and that became my stimuli and my therapy right there. I didn't need anything else, just a collection. And my love for math grew in middle school, and it just built and built until I found the cube. And I always love art. I'm an artist. I'm going to community college to study art. And when I was really young, I just created anything out of just whatever. I just have a mind for different shapes and just you name it. And I always had to have everything in symmetry, no matter what. It's like, would you say it's a characteristic? Yeah, obsession. In high school were my very tough years growing up. And I dealt so traumatically with bullies. I was harassed, I was threatened, I was humiliated, I was hurt. It just was the worst time of my life. I went to a technology school for brick masonry, and my class, that was them, and I just, after a year and a half, I had to just quit that school. But the worst thing, which just feared me the most, is that my school is right across the street from my neighborhood. They could have followed me home and beat me up. Thank God they never did. But the next summer changed my life forever. In 2009, I went to a camp and met another speed cuber there named Josh Rotholtz. He is probably my age or so, and he just inspired me to pick up the cube and start learning it, and it just grew from there. And later on that summer in 2009, I went to my grandpa's house, which he bought me a book, and of how to solve the cube. And I just devoted my time into the book. I gained reading skills. I gained so much from that book. Even my dog wanted to learn the cube, tearing it up. And then at my Aunt Pauline's house, I achieved my first solve with the book. It took me 2 weeks with the book, and then later on, 4 full weeks of memorization with the beginner's method. And then I went to YouTube to get faster and faster. And because of the book and just my obsession with the cube, I started to gain studying skills. Like, just after months and when I was just having nothing to do, I was bored or what, the cube became my go-to in downtime. In high school, I had, and throughout my life, I had a IEP, Individualized Education Program. And without the cube, I would pretty much think that I would not pass all my standard of learning tests to get a standard diploma. And I managed to solely because I believe the cube helped me to pass the tests. I then achieved a standard diploma, passing all my SOLs. I was going to get a modified diploma. In my senior year of high school, I got all A's and B's, and that gave me a 3.1 GPA. And as college started, a passion to thrive, to learn and grow at the college, everyone just was completely fascinated by my cubing skills. I felt like it felt like a new school, new you, and I just was able to blossom even more. And then I got a job at my local Chick-fil-A later on, and that was just an easy interview, and I felt it was easy because of my new skills with communication and just quickly understanding what's being said. And last year, I entered my community college's talent show I solved the 2x2 5 times, the 3x3 1 time. I wanted to solve the 3x3 more than the 1 time, but for a time on stage, just didn't allow that. And with, against piano player, singers, dancers, I achieved 3rd place. So last year was a year I truly will never forget. I went to my disorders conference up in Boston, and just everybody at the conference knew about me and stuff. I have probably, I know maybe 300 of my disorder. And a bunch of them just always are like, can I see you solve a cube? Can I see you do this? Can I see you do that? It gets overwhelming, but I'm like, hey, I'm one in a million for this disorder and solving a cube. I'm the only one recorded with my disorder to whom can solve a cube, let alone 30 seconds. But it was this conference that truly changed my life. Someone at the conference, a child with my disorder, her mom's best friend, happens to be Holly Rail, the Rubik's Cube brand executive vice president in the U.S. She was at last year's Nationals, and she asked me to be interviewed for this documentary that's happening right here. And they were also, obviously, at last year's Nationals, and I just could not believe how I met her because of my disorder and the Rubik's Cube relation. It's just like, how did that happen? And Holly, with her story and how she liked the Rubik's Cube and trying to teach kids on solving it and the mathematicals and all that to it, she inspired me to go to local middle schools and present the cube and teaching the history, how to solve it, teaching about the art, like the mosaics, teaching just everything about the cube in 45 minutes of time. But the 45 minutes I did in 3 days. I did 18 presentations and demonstrations. It took the full day of school for most of them, and exhausting, but gave me more practice for being up here. And before questions, like with my slow muscle tone, I ran cross country in high school, and I never came close to winning. I was always in the back of the pack, which was actually good in some days, having to run in huge mud piles. I was thankful for that one race. But my freshman year was a great year for muscle strength. Every race I ran, my first race of the season, I ran a 5K in 33 minutes. In my final race of the season, I got the 5K in 25 minutes.
Wow.
However, every single race I ran that freshman season, I broke my time by either a minute or 30 seconds. I just improved and got faster. And I set a goal, not just to do that, but to want to get faster. And it's just like Rubik's Cubes. If you're stuck at solving, I was, for many years, stuck at solving the cube at an average of 40 seconds. Last year, around maybe April, I started to achieve like 30-second average. And it just takes time. I've been cubing for 6 years. It just takes time, and you'll get to it. So no matter what setback you have, you can achieve whatever you want, and you'll be able to do it. If you're stuck at 25 seconds, it may take you a year, 2 years to get 15 seconds, but I know if I can do it, so can you. I have a YouTube channel. You can find me at AC Cuber Sam, and I don't have that many videos, but I will hopefully be making frequent videos now. Any questions? I'm 23 years old. Forgot to say that. Any other questions? Say that again? Knowing a lot of OLL and PLL, I'm at Tulip OLL and PLL right now, but there are some cases that I can do in like 1 look. I on Amazon bought like business card like things showing all of the OLL, PLL, and F2L cases, and I use that, and I'll just read it and try to memorize an algorithm, and I was able to memorize an algorithm once within like 10 minutes. I just looked at the screen on seeing the algorithm on the computer, just trying to read it. I then did it without looking at the cube, trying to feel the muscle memory. Then later on, I could walk away from the computer and instantly do that algorithm. Now I forget which algorithm that was, but. The most challenging cube I have ever done. Well, I have a ghost cube, but that I found a map to that, so that's not challenging. The most hardest cube I have ever done would probably be the square one. I do not like that puzzle.
You said you like art and shapes. What's your favorite medium? Like painting or drawing or play?
For art, my favorite medium, I'm actually going to school for ceramics, like sculpture and photography.
Do you solve other cubes besides cubes?
I have a collection of like about 150 puzzles, so I can solve pretty much all of them. Some that I can't solve, some that I had to create my own method. And I actually own the 17th puzzle of Trifrum's Rexamorphix. I was able to get the last one in his original hand-built batch. With my hand issue, it was difficult in middle school because I was a Boy Scout for like 2 years or so, and back just like 2 years before I was a Boy Scout, my hand thing was not really known, and then doing the Boy Scout symbol, like I'm trying to do it with my left hand right now, my right hand's trying to get into that symbol right now. And every time I did it like this, my left hand cramped up and hurt so much. We were like, why is that happening? And later that year, at the next conference, we learned that that is a characteristic, and that's one way to diagnose people. And in a thought that there are 3 different forms of my disorder. There's complete, missing all of it. There's partial, missing a part of it. And there's a thinning of it. But what doctors say is that, or are baffled for, is that those with complete are more high function. I have complete, and I'm able to solve a Rubik's Cube. Those with partial have a lot more like issues. And thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Sam, for that awesome seminar.